Welcome to Next Level Greatness, the podcast. Around here, we'll be talking about all things expansion, going from good to great and from great to greatness. I'm your host, Barbie. Get ready for your next level. Let's do this. I received a message in my inbox, and then I received another, and then I received another that sounded something like this. I want to take your program. Your program is calling my name, but I've already spent so much. I've already invested so much. Could you advise me? This is the reason why I am recording this audio. Whether you're interested or not interested in taking my program, whatever program it may be, I know that this particular recording will be helpful to you in making decisions from now on about any educational courses or investments that you might be thinking of making. I think a lot of times either we overthink our decisions or we just go with the feeling, go with the emotion, which is what marketers want, right? And we make mistakes. I know that has happened to me. And at the same time, I will say that I am someone that trusts my intuition, and I'm all for that. I have clients that have taken many courses from me or all the courses that I've ever offered, and they just say things like, I just knew, I trusted my gut. My body said yes. And so if you're that person and you feel like you've made great investments, then wonderful. This is great. But I'm making this particular recording for the person that has said or that is finding themselves saying, I've already invested so much. This program is calling my name, but I don't know. Could you advise? And so there are two parts to this. So today, in this segment, we're going to deal with part one. Okay. So part one is for the person that feels that they are basically collecting programs and they're not seeing the needle move forward. There are two questions to ask if you're in business or you're ready to start a business. Now, this is a pattern that I have seen in my almost 16 years in business that I didn't understand back then, but I understand now. So I would see people in business year after year doing all the things. So applying all the strategies. When I say doing all the things, I mean, they're actually doing the work. But for whatever reason, and this is the whatever reason that we're going to get into right now, for specific reasons, or for quote unquote, whatever reasons, they have not been able to move the needle forward and see the results in their business. And now that I've had time to really contemplate on this, I think that there are three reasons why that person, and if this is you, is not moving forward despite doing all these things. So in my podcast, I did do an episode with one of my friends, and now she's actually one of my mentors as well, Ayu. And so in some ways, I'm repeating what she said, but when she said it, I knew it as well. But I want to give her credit because she was the first one to say it. But I was like, yes, I've been saying that in my head as well. So number one, the two questions, it's actually three questions. The questions that you need to ask is, and this is, I know what happened. This is actually me. So one of the questions that she said was, do I need therapy? Do I need therapy? Do I need to deal with any trauma that I may have that is preventing me from moving forward in the business? Because as a business coach, I was saying that a lot of times people actually need to deal with the trauma. And so I'm not a trauma-informed therapist. And so that is not my wheelhouse. But I can absolutely see how, and I especially saw this when I taught my first course, Money Magnet,
that there were certain individuals that just had a lot of trauma that they had to deal with first. And so they really weren't able to fully dive into the work of looking at their subconscious programs. And so there are times when I would recommend that someone would work with a therapist before signing up for a course. And in this particular course that I'm talking about, it was Money Magnet, but also with my program, Athena, the Art of Business, where we really are diving into not only the energetics, the shift that you need to make within yourself in order to start or grow your business. We're also going to be talking about strategy. So the actual work, the things that you need to do to move your business forward. But if you've got a lot of trauma and you have not dealt with that trauma and you haven't given yourself permission to succeed, you are going to be hitting a wall. So do I need therapy is the first question. The second question is, do I need to work on my subconscious programming to give myself permission to succeed? Now, this is the work that I do. As I mentioned, my friend and mentor, Ayo, she said, do I need therapy? But I'm adding the part of, do I need to work on my subconscious programming? Because this is the work that I do in Money Magnet. Here, we're not looking at deep-seated trauma or psychological trauma. We're looking at our present beliefs so that we can rewrite them. And there are many different modalities so that you can rewrite your subconscious programming. And some of that can be hypnotherapy. I am officially a very big fan, because I've done it, of rapid resolution therapy with Dr. John Connolly. I've seen amazing results as pertain to my health. I was just stuck in a loop when it came to my health. And this has been the number one thing that has shifted me. But yes, do I need to work on my subconscious program to give myself permission to succeed? And do I need to clear my money blocks? So if you do that work, you can be aware that you need to do some work there as you take programs, as you take courses, as you build your business. I am not saying that you cannot build your business if you haven't cleared all blocks, because this is a human experience. I am always reaching new levels. And with every level that I reach, I realize that I have to clear certain blocks and certain limiting beliefs. And so if we wait till that day that we're completely clear and that we are completely healed, even though I don't like to talk that way, because I don't think that we're not healed. I never talk about myself like I'm not healed. It's like, no, I'm perfectly imperfect. I'm fine just the way that I am. And yet I'm always growing and I'm always moving forward. But what I am saying is for you to make the distinction between needing therapy to deal with deep-seated trauma or psychological stuff, I mean, I'm someone that has been through many years of therapy and I'm an advocate, so there's nothing wrong with that. Or am I to the point that I can start a business and also at the same time work on my subconscious programming? Okay, you get to decide that. And then the third question to ask is, am I ready to roll up my sleeves and do the work that it takes to build a business? Because this is also something that I have seen in my almost 2 decades in business, that people say that they're ready to do the work, that they're ready to be successful, and yet they're not actually doing the work that it takes. And so you have to ask yourself, like, am I ready to do the work? If you're not ready to do the work, then you can buy a program and be a collector, and you're not going to get the results. And then you might blame yourself, which is not useful. You might blame your instructor, your teacher, your guide, whatever you want to call the person. And that's not useful either, because then in that sense, you're not taking responsibility. And so the question is really, am I ready to do this work? Am I ready to build a business? And if you are, and you're also willing to look at your inner self to clear whatever blocks come up, then by all means, it might be, you might have a green light from yourself to sign up for a course or a program or a mastermind or whatever investment it is that you want to make. Now, if you're collecting programs, or you find yourself that you're a program collector and you're not seeing progress, I would ask yourself what you actually need. So this is going to require some reflection time, some contemplation, and some time to truly look at your own behavior and patterns and ask yourself. So have an honest conversation with yourself and ask yourself, how am I utilizing my time? I find that a lot of people struggle with managing their time. I'm actually not a fan of working your business in quote unquote pockets of time. I used to be, because I would tell people, yeah, you can work your business in pockets of time. But I find that what that does is actually drains your battery and gives you very scattered energy. I would rather see you work I would rather work one focused hour per day versus 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. And again, that's just a personal opinion. I'm not a scientist, but I bet you that the scientists would say that you'd be a lot more productive if you actually focused for an hour versus trying to get like little quickies throughout your day to do your work. So how am I utilizing my time? And this one might be trickier, but this is another question that you should ask yourself, or that you can ask yourself, is what actual areas of my business do I need help with, or am I seeking guidance on? Is it the social media? Is it my time management? Is it systems? Is it expanding my network? And if you ask yourself that, and then you look at the program that is being offered or the mastermind, does that seem like a match? And if there's a question, if you're really not sure, I would highly encourage you to write to the person who is offering the program. If that person is me, I can promise you that I am not going to message you back in order to convince you. Because if I have to convince you to take my course or my program or to work with me, and then you're not happy, you're going to blame me, and I don't want that. I want to work with people that are arriving to the decision to work with me on their own. And so I don't think that you have anything to fear. Now, if we're referring to someone else and you're afraid to reach out to them because they're going to try to sell you, then maybe that's not someone that you want to work with. I mean, personally, if someone is just trying to convince me, then that's not someone that I want to work with. And in the past 2 years, I have only associated with leaders. I was going to call them feminine leaders, but leaders who, when I ask them for a link, they say, here you go, and they send me the link, and then they trust that I will be able to make the decision to say whether something is good for me or not. Another question to ask yourself is regarding your learning style. How do I learn best? Or phrased differently is, what am I looking for? Do you need someone that's going to give you graphs and charts and very detailed systems? Let me tell you, that is not me. I am a very structured person. My brain is very structured. The way that I present the material is structured. But I am not someone that is going to give you like a gazillion templates, even though I like them, or graphs and charts. And there are some learners that are like that. And it's good for you to know yourself. about a year and a half ago, I don't know what the heck I was thinking. I did an impulse buy. It was like $1,300 for a course on how to launch courses. And this is when I was about to launch my money magnet course. And I don't know what happened. I just pressed buy and I purchased this program. I opened it, and number one, I didn't like her voice. There was nothing wrong with her. She was just like, I just didn't like the pitch of her voice. And so I couldn't listen to it. And then number two, she was so extremely detailed with all these downloads, like physical printable stuff, that it overwhelmed me. And I must have the login information somewhere. I tried logging in twice and I was just turned off with the amount of information. This is a personal preference. She's very successful. I don't even follow her on social media. It's not even a criticism of her work at all. It is simply a preference. I made an impulse buy and I realized this is not the kind of material that I want to learn. This is not the person that I want to learn it from. And this is not how I like to learn. If I had had this recording that you have now, I would have had the consciousness to say, Barbie, you're about to make an impulse buy. Don't buy this. This is not your learning style. Do you want someone that is really going to see you, to hear you, to understand you? I do believe, and this is, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and toot my own horn. I am someone that is my gift. If we're talking about human design, I'm a 6-2 generator, but with the 6 line, I'm really able to see people, to hear people, to understand people. And I think that I know that this is what makes me a gifted teacher. I'm a teacher. I was born a teacher. I have been developing my craft. But as a 6 line, I also have, and almost 50 years old, I've become a wise person. Why? Because I've lived a lot. And so, oh my Lord, I can't believe I'm going to say this here, but my husband always uses this expression is you can't, oh my God, if there are children, get them away. But my husband always says, I don't know if I should say this. I'm going to say it. You can't scare a whore with a dick. So what does that mean? No, I am not a whore. But what I am saying is that I've lived through a lot of life. I really have. And it may not show on I think it does show on social media somehow. But my point is that I've lived through a lot of life experiences. I can't believe that I just said all that. I've lived through a lot of life experiences. And so I'm not someone that is going to judge someone because they've gone through this or they've gone through that. So I do see myself as a very human person that is very understanding. And that shows up in the classroom. That shows up in the way that I conduct myself, the way that I carry myself, the way that I relate to my clients, to my students. I've bought courses where I have felt that, where I have felt held, where I have felt understood. And that really matters to me. And I've also bought courses where it's simply information. And sometimes that's been good because sometimes that's all I've wanted. And then I've bought courses, like I bought a Pinterest course where it was just the information. There's nothing wrong with the Pinterest course. And I haven't been able to get back to it. Like I've tried several times and it doesn't have enough soul for me. So if you can see, once again, we're talking about preference. We're not talking about whether something is good or not, because there's different strokes for different folks. Nothing is black or white. What I mean by that is it's very possible that you want a little bit of everything. You want a little bit of structure. You want a lot of structure. You want someone to really, your instructor to really see you, to hear you, to feel you. But the purpose of this audio is for you to think about what it is that you desire so that you can make an informed decision when you're looking at making this investment? And finally, is the person whose program you are thinking of taking the right person for me? That is the question that I would ask. And don't ask your head. This is really you checking into your sacred wisdom. This is really you checking in with your body, with your heart, with your sacral, so like your belly area. Do I just want to be around this person? There's a woman on the internet. Her name is Jacqueline Shaw. She doesn't provide any systems. She simply is like she is an energetic coach. Sometimes I listen to her. I tuned into her podcast, and when I hear her voice, something happens within me. And then I'm just like, oh, I'm going to go live. Oh, I'm going to write this email. Oh, I'm going to create something. But that's because I already know what to do. I have a very good sense of what I need to do. And so this is someone that is good for me to learn from, because that's what I'm looking for. Like, her energy feels good for me. And I know that a lot of my students make a decision to work with me because of my energy. So ask yourself when making a purchasing decision about a program or mastermind, is this person someone that I want to learn from? Because for me, it's definitely not enough that the person knows their stuff. If they don't have the right energy for me, I'm going to run away very quickly. I'm all for saying sacral yeses. Yes, yes, yes. And like I said, sometimes I've made mistakes and sometimes I've bought stuff and I'm like, why did I do this? But I'm really hoping that this part 1 audio was helpful for you so that you can move forward with more confidence. And before we end, I want to let you know that we are starting Athena, the Art of Business, very soon. So the link is in the show notes. We have several dozen women who have said, heck yes, I am ready to grow my business, or I'm ready to start my business. This is a 7-module experience for the woman who's ready to make that inner shift within herself and to take some moves to learn some of the concepts, the frameworks, the structures in order to start her business or grow her business so that she can begin making consistent income and have a beautiful business that brings in the income. I hope that you have enjoyed this. I will see you for part 2 next week.
If you loved this episode and if you're loving my podcast, I would love for you to leave a review. They really do make a difference in spreading the word and having more people be impacted. Also, I'd love for you to join me in my Facebook community called The Magnetic Portal. You can find the link in the show notes. I'll see you next time.